Time to fly, time to fly. Never give up, we won't retreat. The ones who stand up.
Hello friends, and welcome again to another Street Fighter Duel video.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Street Fighter Duel, and this time we're gonna do some compositions for all the free-to-play, let's say, teams that you can do for bossing, actually, because many people have been asking me, they didn't build these kind of units, these characters that can go and deal so much damage. What other alternatives, what could we use if we're starting new, if we're new, if we're free to play, if we're low spenders, what are the options that we have? So I'm gonna go throughout the entire event in Effigy Boss and show you some teams and how they work and how they can perform, and they can perform actually decently. Especially right now that we have another unit that can replace some actual units that we have on our lineups, which is Nishiki Sakura. Yes, some people didn't know how much good she is actually for bossing because of what she can give us with her passive, and let's go and read her passive right now. Yes, she's level 1 for me because I didn't put him in the momentum, but if you can go to events for bossing, not in boss rush. In boss rush you need to put her in momentum, but if you want to go and play other bosses, they will be all on the same level, only you need gears on her and can give her her fighting soul. So I'm giving her the echo right now. She doesn't need the echo actually. She needs something to buff her attack or to buff her HP, which is up to you. I got her to plus 20. Plus 20 is a decent point to put her at because of the bloom. It will increase the duration, and then you will get some Sakura Rain, which is consistent a little bit. Now, of course, if you want to get her to plus 30, if you have the resources, it will not be that bad. Actually, it will apply a little bit of more damage so she can contribute to the damages to the bosses. Her cars, I have nothing for her cars. Of course, you can get some cars for her if you put her on the cars on the garage list or the wish list. You can get the bloom, and the bloom will help you a little bit because she will does some Hadouken, and Hadouken will increase his damages. I want to just talk about her because she's the newest character to be added here, and she can fill a lot of spots, especially with the teams that I'm gonna mention here. So first of all, let me remove all the teams and show you what we can run if we want to run any type of teams. So I'm gonna remove all the teams that we have and talk basically about the basic teams. So free to play, you don't have anything, you build, let's say, your Viper. Viper is the main damage carry or the damage dealer that you want, or let's talk about the Fire Adon team first. Fire Adon is the main damage dealer for your teams. Now, of course, you need to go and get at least one copy of Rich Honda. One copy of Rich Honda will enable this lineup, and you cannot go wrong with this lineup. Now, if you're free to play and starting new, of course you can pull one copy of Rich Honda, and whenever you build your Fire Adon, you can get more damages on him. The C3 of him will be everything. The Super of Rich Honda will be the thing that will do damage reduction massively, and you don't need cars on him. You don't need him to plus 30. You don't need anything on him. You need him just to perform his Super, and his Super will give lifelink to the boss and link him with another unit, so they will share the damage, and then you will get more damages by your own. So the second unit that is the most important on this lineup, which is Street Poison. Yes, you can play only these 3 units on this lineup, and it will be completely perfect if you want to start with Rich Honda, Street Poison, Rich Honda, then Fire Adon. Now, to add more damages and more buffs, we're mainly using let's say the legendary or Flame Chun. Flame Chun is not free to play. You can buy her from the mall. She will have discounts, sometimes go to 50 bucks, I think, or sometimes goes to 30 bucks, depending on the discount that they give you. And she's the unit that you will play on the tag position most of the time, so she can drop with her C2, apply flame penetration to the boss, and then you will increase your damages by the flame with the C3 of Fire Adon. Fire Adon wall will stay underneath the boss, and then you will maximize your damages. If you don't have that, we always run something like this, like we run Rose. Rose, she will buff your crits, she will buff your damages, she will rewind time and heal you and keep you sustaining and surviving on the lineup. Perfect unit. Now, of course, you need some time to build her if you're buying her from the shop, if you didn't go for divination, and never go divination for her. You can buy her from the shop and build her slowly. Now, what's the alternatives to use that? Now, if you've been on the Luke event, you can use Luke for the C2, and I don't recommend using him here. You can utilize him on different lineups to increase your damages. You can use Nishiki Sakura, and yes, Nishiki Sakura actually works here perfectly. You can put her instead of Rose and use her C2. She will give you the Blossom, she will give you the heals, the sustainability, and the damage buff, which is stacks up to 8 times. I think I forgot how much it stacks. Let me read it here. I think it's already in the passive. So in the passive, if we're gonna go the bloom, if you get the bloom, each stack increases damage by 3% for 2.5 seconds, stack up to 20 times. So you can get her this bloom, and of course if you upgrade her, and you're gonna tell me 2.5 seconds, but if you upgrade her to plus 20, the bloom will be for 6 seconds. It means with every rotation you can apply a stack, refresh that time or the cooldown, and keep your damages up. And as you said, as we see here, and as I said, it stacks up to 20 times, which is absolutely fantastic. Imagine a bonus with 3% stacking up 20 times. That's a 60% damage bonus, which is really great, and it will help you a lot actually to deal a little bit of damage and increase your damages if you build her correctly and wisely. Now another unit that you can use instead of this, which is Psychodan. Yes, Psychodan works on this lineup as well because also of his passive. You can use his C2. Yes, he stuns himself, and it's a minimum stun, like it's a little bit of a stun, and you can continue using his C2 again. His C2 is absolutely crazy. You can use him in different lineups, not only on this lineup. I'll be talking on a different lineup for you. So his passive is he's gonna give you something like damage bonus by 15%, damage reduction by 15%, crit damage 15%, or recovery rate by 15%. It's RNG. He gives you one of these buffs. The next rotation he will give you another buff, which is not the same as the other buff. And when that buff gets removed, he will give you another buff. So you can go with RNG and try to get the most of this. And this is why he works in PvP. He's super good actually because of the survivability and all of the buffs that you can get from his rotations. Now, these are the major lineups. The most important thing that you need to play is giving your assist to the perfect units. So for Fire Adon, sometimes we play Witch Jury on him so we can keep him surviving. Even if the battle falls, everybody dies, he will survive because he will be life leeching all the time and getting that heals so he can survive a little bit longer, so his wall will deal more damage in the firewall underneath the heroes. Now, of course, we're running something different with him, which is Mayor Cody. Mayor Cody until now is a great assist actually. You can use either Ryu, you can use whatever you want that can buff a unit with damages, but this Mayor Cody actually give you a 15% because you go into duel with the boss. You get 15% extra bonus damage and a little bit of defensive capabilities because you're in a duel with that target, which is absolutely crazy. And the most important unit for the fire teams for you to expand your fire or maximize it, which is Fei Long. Fei Long with his assist, with his +5, we can go and read it here. It increases the flame and the burn damage done by you by 12% to the enemies. So the enemies take 12% more flame damage, which is absolutely perfect. He's the best assist for the fire faction or the entire fire teams. Whichever fire you're playing on the tower or any teams that you don't want to run this team, you can play him as an assist. Of course, you can use his C1, you can use his C2, you can play him on the main lineup, but you need a full faction of fire so you can capitalize on that. This is for the main lineup. This is how we play it. Actually, this is for me because I don't have Flame Chun, I play Rose. And right now, because I got my Sakura, so the Blossom Sakura, Nishiki Sakura, I'm playing her with her C2. My lineup is surviving decently. They're proccing the heals much more, and you can play her. I mean, her C2 is not the most important thing, but you can play her with her C2. She will add up a little bit more for your team. If you're gonna go and check her skills, will give you Bloom. Her C2 will not give you Bloom, but it will give you a little bit of healing and sustainability. It can work if you want to get her cars. It will affect your lineup more and more. If you want to get her to +3, that will help you. And you can use her C3 if you want once before. If you start with Cammy and Vega AX, you can start with her super, and then you can continue with the C2, and the C2 will do its work, which is really good. I hope that you have this clearance for you. So another lineup, which if you're free to play, let's say you built Guile and you want to make him work. So Guile, we basically play him with Street Poison, but if you're playing Street Poison on a different lineup, you want another buffer, you can play either Wrestling Hugo. If we see here, where is the Wrestling Hugo? One copy of Wrestling Hugo. We can play somebody as a tank like Bison or any kind of tank that you want them to tank for you and will not die, and he will be actually decent to survive a little bit. I love to play him with somebody as a pseudo tank like Gormagala can, because he will apply a little bit more of the damages. And you can play here Nishiki Sakura, as I said, if you didn't play her on the main lineup, or you can play El Fuerte. Now El Fuerte, I don't recommend playing him because El Fuerte with his C2, I think he inflicts also armor break, but it's not the biggest thing for you to play him to play armor break, because armor break will be applied by Guile and you'll max it to 10 by the end of the battle. We used to play a Zangief here for the C2. Now if it's AoE, his C2 will deal a little bit of damage and he help you damage wise and give you the speed, but this is not the most important thing that you need to play. If you want to play somebody that buffs you, if you're playing Rose on the main lineup, you can play here Psycho Dan. If you're playing Psycho Dan on the main lineup, you can play Rose. If I can find them, where is it? That's Psycho Dan. You can play Psycho Dan with his C2. He will help you a lot. C1 from Hugo or C1 from Athlete Chun-Li if you want, and this will buff your entire team. Same goes for the Viper team as well. Now here, of course, you can play whichever you want, any characters on assist. That would help you and give you maximum damages. It doesn't matter, you can play Yan and Yang if you want, because if any trigger character such as Gore Magala can, you can play Yan on him and it will help you get some combo meter. You can play Yang on him and get even more combo meter if combo meter is an issue for this lineup. This is how Guile works. This is how you need to think about it. He wanna start with his super, C1 from her, C2 from Psycho Dan, and then C3 from him, and Gore Magala can, or Eva Ryu, or Summer Ubuki, Baddest Jury, Raphael, whatever trigger character you're playing on this lineup would work. Now this lineup dropped massively and it doesn't deal the same amount of damages as the others do. This is why we replaced him by units such as Trendy Guile, like Oni, somebody like Trendy Akuma, and other different units that would work with this aspect. Now of course, if you build what is he? Taoist Gen, you can place Taoist Gen with his C2. He would help a lot actually, and he will help you. You can start with his super, use the C1 of her, C2 of him, and then start with or end with the C3 of Guile, which will help you a lot. Same goes for Viper. Viper, you can play the same shenanigans. Of course, you can remove everything and play different characters. The main things that I want to tell you about is playing Viper with somebody like Athlete Chun-Li, or somebody that has a C1 that buffs you. Rufus can work if you bought Rufus as a legendary. Wrestling Hugo can work if you have Wrestling Hugo. You need only one copy of Wrestling Hugo. You need only one copy of Athlete Chun-Li. But if you build them up, they will survive more and they will give you different kind of buffs and help you with the damages. Especially Athlete Chun-Li, the 6 out of 6 for her. If you get her to triple S, she will add damages because she's gonna fly, give you the orb, and go up in the sky and hit the targets with her sublime attack, which is her super, which is absolutely perfect. Now another lineup that we got right now, and everybody, if you have one copy of all of these units that I will be talking about, which is the collab characters, which are the TMNT, Leonardo, Raphael are the stable main units on this lineup. You can play Donatello on the tag position, and 100% we're playing Action Guy on this lineup. Action Guy works perfectly on this lineup, especially because the combo never gets interrupted or never gets delayed, or you can't, or you miss your timing. You start with Leonardo, C1 from Donatello, C2 from Action Guy. Whenever the action guy is stopping his super, because when you start the super with Leonardo, he will do a trigger of a super and start supering with him as well, and then you're gonna use his C2 after using the C1 of Donatello. You're never gonna miss the timing. Sometimes we're playing Abel here or Suit Abel just to help a little bit with sustainability if we have sustainability issues, but stable lineup, which is with Donatello because of the buffs, shields and heals that he gives, and you're gonna go and deal a lot of damage with this lineup. This is basically my second highest or third highest sometimes, depending on the bosses that I'm fighting. Absolutely fantastic. Action Guile reduces the damage or the damage reduction from the bosses, which will help you deal a lot of damages. For assist wise, you can use whichever you want. Sometimes I use Yan and Yang with them because I will give more combo meter, but Action Guile will actually give you a lot of combo meter to go with because of his triggers and his passives, which allow you to go and regenerate combo meter. So you can play here somebody like Ryu or Guile. I think Combat Guile is good sometimes with the dispelling, but I don't highly prefer. I prefer to play somebody like Makoto. Makoto gives you a defensive buff and attacking buff, which is absolutely great. You can play somebody like Jury also to buff, not here actually, here up on him. Let's put Donnie back in. You can play Jury on top of him, and Jury will give you an attack buff, which is absolutely fantastic. Another lineup that we'll be talking about, which is the old lineup, which is for everybody who started the game, and we got the first release of Akuma, which he was the special summon character. If you still have him and you want to play him, one of the main lineups and the best lineups that we're playing him is him with the trigger and with Chun-Li and with somebody like Abel, because Abel will let them all survive. So we play this lineup specifically like this. I'm gonna use a trigger like Gormagalakan and talk about it. So this is basically the lineup that we're playing, and it's a battery generating. You go back to back non-stop, especially for single target bosses. This works perfectly actually, and you can use here if Ryu, he performs even better than Gormagalakan. You can play Summer Ibuki, any kind of trigger that you want to choose, and he will be working perfectly. Sometimes we use Viper with him instead of Chun-Li. But if you want combo meter and non-stop hitting from Akuma, you're gonna play it like this. We start with Akuma, Abel, Akuma, Chun-Li. Of course, we stack a little bit of combo meter, and we go and until the end of the fight with the boss. We never run of combo meter. We keep pressing Super C1, C2, Super C1, C2, and C3 of course with Chun-Li. And Chun-Li with her C3, if you build her to plus 36 out of 6, will absolutely buff your crits and absolutely give you so much combo meter. So this is a stable team for whoever built Akuma and you still have him and you don't have better units. You can play this lineup. It's actually decent and will put you in the top rankings. Now, the lineup that I love the most and I play the most and I use it completely, and it's completely free to play, this one. Everybody will build Bison. So we will have Bison on our lineup. Everybody will be building Dhalsim because he's free to play. And the most legendary free to play unit, or the only legendary free to play unit, which is Fashion Blanca, that you will have him. Now you can replace whoever you want and play whoever you want on the tag position, but I highly prefer Summer Yang. Why Summer Yang? Because his C2 is absolutely underrated and incredible. His C2 will give armor break to the boss. If you inflict armor break on the boss, every armor break will fill the combo meter by 60. Sometimes you fill it up by 3, 4, and even if you're super lucky, you do it to 5. Now 6, I never see it at 6 because you go 6 attacks, and if you get every single attack with an armor break, you're gonna get 6 by 60, which is absolutely huge. And of course, let's not forget his C1. His C1 will give you shields and healing, which will make your team survive a lot longer. Now, before we were playing him with any other unit that will buff him, such as Mayor Cody, or any unit that will give him some attack, but with a little bit of retries and gameplay with the whole time that we played all the bosses, which Jury absolutely is phenomenal on him, especially when you're getting attacked by the boss or he does skills. You start you do your C3 with Dhalsim, at the same time you're taking damage, you regenerate health, and he will stay alive. With Bison on the team, you're gonna stay alive. Sometimes Blanca dies, but Summer Yang can help you with the shielding and the healing. And with the introduction of the new EX, which is not new anymore, with the Kami and Vega EX, here it is. You can play this lineup comfortably and perfectly. So you start with Fashion Blanca. So the thing is with this lineup, and it's not that tricky, it's simple. If you understand it from the first time, you don't need to complete it, or you will not miss it out. So this battle starts, Dhalsim gets on his leg Yoga Tower and gets max 5 stacks of Yoga Tower. So you wait until Fashion Blanca wants to hit the boss. When he's hitting the boss, you start with his super, wait a little bit, he will drop from his Yoga Tower at 5 stacks, and you can press his C1, he stacks up again. C2 from Summer Yang, you accumulate combo meter. C3 from Bison, but you do this super slowly so you can accumulate all the stacks with Dhalsim. And then you click the Kami and Vega EX. You have Dhalsim to start with his super for free. We don't need to do damage with that. What we want to do is stacking his combo meter or his Yoga Tower again. So we start with him. C1 from Fashion Blanca, C2 from Summer Yang, more combo meter, then C3 with Dhalsim. And we don't do it back to back. We do it slowly, as much as possible until the combo runs out and we have all the stacks that he have. And one last time, we start with Fashion Blanca, C1 from Dhalsim, C2 from Summer Yang, then C3 from Bison, and then we have the full stacks. We have 2 extra combo meters that we can start with. We start with Dhalsim, C1 from Summer Yang if you feel that your Fashion Blanca will die, or C1 from Fashion Blanca if he's safe, C2 from Summer Yang, C3 from Dhalsim, and we rinse and repeat Dhalsim, Summer Yang, or Fashion Blanca, then Dhalsim. And this is how you end this fight and you get the highest score with this lineup. This is completely free to play. Did great results on many accounts. We tried it in many aspects and absolutely fantastic. It does wonders actually. And lastly, I'm gonna talk about the units, the supreme units. So if you built Visconde Vega, absolutely fantastic. You can run him with whatever you want, a healer, a buffer, whatever you want. He lifesteal by his own. Now the best things that we're playing with him is something like Suit Able, because Suit Able gives shields and heals, and he keeps him surviving and keeps all the lineups are surviving. You can play another buffer on the team, or 2 buffers with somebody like Summer Elena on him with his lineup. Summer Elena, you can fit her in any lineup that needs a trigger character, and you can build her to double S. You don't need to invest so much on her. Double S, get her to plus 30, and that's it. You don't need anything else. Now, of course, it will be wonderful if you get her to triple S with all the cars, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is to unlock her exclusive and get her to plus 30, and she will buff your entire team with that. And you can play somebody else to use any C1 or C2. Of course, you can now play Nishiki Sakura, as I said. She would be helpful for this lineup. We're playing different units, actually. I'm playing Psychodan also with this lineup. Absolutely fantastic. Sometimes I play Rose. Sometimes I play any unit that will give me a C2. And the most consistent one that really came out right now, which is Luke, because on bosses he will go and debuff the bosses with damage reduction as well, and so I can deal more damages with my Visconde Vega, which is absolutely fantastic. If you build Oni, you can play Oni instead of him right here. If I have a copy of Oni, here we go, you can play Oni. Same way, Oni works like this, but he needs a little bit of sustainability. This is why Summer Elena and Suit Able will also be good with him, and he deals decent amount of damage. Trendy Akuma, same way. You can go and use it and play Trendy Akuma if you want on this lineup. If you build Trendy Ryu, you can play Trendy Ryu, and you can play, where is he? Visconde Vega instead here. So you can start with the C1 of like Super, C1 Trendy Ryu, C2 from Able, then C3 from Visconde Vega. Also works perfectly. Trendy Ryu is one of the great units in the game. Of course, you can replace also and play somebody like her. Let's say Diviner Rose. You can play somebody like Gen with his C2, he also works. You can play whatever you feel like it will be buffing your team and giving you the most damage. For PvP, of course, we're playing Goken with him, but you don't need it in bossing unless your team is actually dying and you can't also go to the end of the fight with that. And this is how we play it. Of course, as I said, if you didn't build him, you build somebody else, you can play like Oni, you can play Trendy Kami if you built her before. If you don't have anybody as a carry except like Trendy Kami, because everybody built her before, she still works, she's absolutely magnificent, but you need to work a little bit harder or faster and get more combo meter with units that generate combo meter, such as Yan and Yang as assist position. They will help her a lot. Of course, we got Overlord Bison. Now, Overlord Bison, everybody is playing him with lineups like Double Bison and Michelangelo. You can still do that, but you can play him and play Michelangelo if you want, and you can play at the same time somebody like Vega. So you can start with Vega, C1 from Michelangelo, C2 from Bison, C3 from Vega, or different kind of things, but I would highly recommend to play Vega with his super and his C3 because he inflicts a lot of damage. You can play another trigger character, or you can play another character that will do these things for you, or do a C1 for you. You can use a C2 from him, so you can start with him, use C1 from any kind of buffer, Wrestling Hugo, let's say, C2 from him, and C3 from Visconde Vega only. But again, if you can play any trigger characters such as Elena, Summer Elena, which works perfectly with Visconde Vega. Until now, it's one of the perfect units to play with. You can start with Visconde Vega, you can play Michelangelo, C2 from Overlord Bison, and then C3 from Visconde Vega. EX moves depending on your lineups, but the trendy, the Kami and Vega EX move, I always love to play it with Dhalsim. Absolutely fantastic. Just remember, do not play Gen as an assist with Dhalsim team, because if you play Gen as an assist on a Dhalsim team, Gen will be in the backline, and if you press Kami and Vega EX, he will take the buff, so you need to start with him, and there's no button to start with the shadow clone of Gen, so keep that in mind. And yeah, that's basically it for these lineups that I wanted to show and talk about. Of course, which lineups I'm still using, and the best for me as free to play, I'm using the Fire Adon team, of course with Rose, and I'm using the TMNT, of course with Action Guy, the same thing that I told you about. I'm using Visconde Vega, as I said, with Able or Suit Able works, but I'm using Able because it gives me the maximum buff of the faction. As you see, the numbers are great, and I'm using the Dhalsim team because it's the most stable team for me, and Witch Jury on top of him, as well as I said before, and the AX move of Kami and Vega, just like I told you. These are the lineups that I'm using. If I have the other lineups, I would play them. I played the Guile team, it didn't work for me. I played Viper instead of Leonardo on the Turtles team. I did relatively the same damage, so I don't want to gamble. I keep kept the turtles team. And that was it. Let me know about a team that you're playing as free to play and it's working for you, so we can share it out with the others, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, we thank you for watching. And as always, stay frosty. Peace.
Time to fly.